This great country of ours is moving very rapidly in the direction of oligarchy. The United States of America today is increasingly becoming an oligarchy. More and more moving toward an oligarchy. We are moving in the direction of oligarchy. We will move even more rapidly in the direction of an oligarchy. This great country is evolving into an oligarchic society. It is called oligarchy, and that is the system we are rapidly moving toward. This is a budget that moves our country rapidly into the direction of oligarchy. A handful of billionaires are moving this entire planet toward an oligarchic society.
We start off with the bad news, which is pretty bad, and that is that under Donald Trump, this country is hurtling rapidly toward oligarchy.
Oh, good morning, pineapples. Rise and freedom. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. What's up, Dad Bod Baboon, Drew Van Runkle, Nelson65. I'm asking you once again to donate to me to fight this oligarchy. Oligarchy. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad. It's time to sharpen your minds and load up your principles. Let's Wake Up America. I'm Austin Petersen. I'm your host, Liberty Liaison, and your unauthorized tour guide through the crumbling empire. Today's headlines are not for the faint of heart, not for the softest spine, but then again, neither is freedom. What are we talking about today? First, the machines are rising, not to enslave you. That's what the government is for. Stephen Rue has to go back to school to prove to his kids that he's not a fool. Had a good time listening this summer. Well, we hope that you'll come back and join us again when you got free time, Stephen. Good luck with the school year. So AI, it's not the end of the jobs. It's not the end of your jobs. It's the end of middle management. It's the end of HR czars and corporate dead weight. This is the biggest shakeup in capitalism since the internet. And the smart ones, the builders, the creators, the rebels, they're going to ride this revolution straight to the bank while the rest of the herd sits around waiting for the guidelines to drop. Then President Trump is grabbing D.C. by the collar. National Guard is in, D.C. mayor out, police federalized. Now, the usual suspects, of course, crying fascism. It's going oligarchy between their $17 coffee and Adams Morgan. But the real question is, should people who broke this city be trusted to fix it? Or is it time for Dad to take the wheel back before hitting another fentanyl-soaked lamppost? I found this clip compelling of one ABC News anchor talking about D.C.
In the meantime, we turn to Washington, D.C. now, where President Trump has ordered the National Guard to take over policing in the nation's capital. Tonight, the mayor there pushing back with the crime stats and what they actually show. Here's Mary Bruce.
For the first time in American history, the president seizing control of the police in the nation's capital and deploying hundreds of National Guardsmen. Trump says to fight crime on the streets of Washington, D.C.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse.
Squalor.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back.
President Trump declaring a public safety emergency in D.C., painting an apocalyptic picture, adamant crime is spiraling out of control. But his depiction stands in stark contrast to the official figures, which show crime in the capital is actually in decline. Violent crime recently hitting a 30-year low, down 26% since last year. Burglary down 19%. Murder down 12%. Still, the president said today the D.C. police will now be able to do whatever they want.
They're standing there and people are spitting in their face and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
All right, maybe they're not allowed to do whatever the hell they want. You fuck my wife? You fuck my wife? I am your wife. It don't matter. At 8 o'clock, speaking of effing your wife, 8 o'clock, Camellia Peterson joins us, and yeah, we're going there. A viral post from Lila Rose claims that men don't need sex. Where's my Norm Macdonald? Hold on.
Offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
We're going to talk about that with Camellia Peterson. Now, I've heard strange things. We've all heard strange things from the abstinence movement, but this one is like theological cosplay. You know, Jesus is not your benchmark for modern masculinity unless your wife is into Roman crucifixion fantasies. We're going to explore how ideas like this gain traction and what it really means for young men being told to neuter themselves in the name of virtue. It's going to be a good one. Quest says, I thought the tariff enactment was Liberation Day. No, that is today's. It's the real Liberation Day. Good to see you, Quest. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this morning. A beautiful morning. And what is it? It's 72 degrees here in Jefferson City, Missouri. Pressure at 1915 megabytes. Is that how they measure that? Feels like 77 though. Whew. We'll keep you up to date with all the news this morning. Then we're going to shift gears on topics. The Supreme Court is being asked to overturn Obergefell. The case that legalized gay marriage could be back on the chopping block. What does that mean politically, morally, strategically? We're going to break it down with Camellia. Then at 8:30 a.m., Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer talks by to talk about Trump's move to reschedule marijuana, which was a political high-wire act if there ever was one, and whether or not Missouri's own cities could benefit from a little top-down order the way that DC is about to get it. And now for the real believers, if the audience hits $75 in Rumble rants or shop purchases this morning, you're going to unlock our mini documentary, which is a short, sharp, and exclusive, and it disappears if you don't unlock it. But if we hit $100 raised during this show this morning, then the tower opens. We bring forth Speculus Veritas, the magic mirror himself, thousands of years of political prophecy locked behind glass. He's seen kings lie, priests sanctify those lies, and mobs cheer them all the way to ruin. And today, he will teach you how to resist one of the two most sinister spells in the modern sorcerer's toolkit, either the spell of permanent emergency or the glamour of false virtue. So if you would like to see the magic mirror teaching a class today, a defense against the dark arts class, and yes, it is that magic mirror, the famous magic mirror from the stories, the Germanic stories, which must now be told by princess of not of virtue, but of skin color, if thou knowest what I mean. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, ho, hi ho, hi ho, it's off to work we go. So if you would like to have a defense against the dark arts class taught to you today, how to fight back against the spell of permanent emergency or the glamour of false virtue, then do vote in the Discord poll. You can see over on the Rumble chat. I have pinned it into the comments. If you would like to see that defense against the dark arts class, do what Quest Fanning did, drop some Rumble rants, or you can go to forlibertyshop.com and check out some of our incredible new merchandise, which we have some great stuff. We just sold a bunch to Japan this morning. Javier Milei, so hot right now in Japan. All right, so let's begin here with the machines, with artificial intelligence, not as a threat, but sort of as a test of you. The biggest revolution in wealth, in autonomy, in the chance to build something for yourself is happening right now. And most people are too hypnotized by headlines or frozen by fear to even look up and notice this. But not you, not this audience, not the Wake Up America show. Let's get into it, okay? I'm not being hyperbolic when I tell you that this is the biggest thing since the internet, the coming AI entrepreneurial revolution. All right, this one's personal for me. All right, there's a piece in the Washington Post this week, I read it so you don't have to, that says artificial intelligence is going to empower a new generation of small business owners. Another article in Business Insider shows the numbers. America's biggest employers are shrinking. Fewer jobs, slimmer payouts. Corporations are not expanding, they're shedding, right? And you might hear that and think, doom, oh, apocalypse, right? AI, it's coming for your job. But that is not what's happening. What's happening is disintermediation. And that is a fancy word that economists use when people no longer need the middlemen, right? And I'm not giving you a theory here. I'm giving you a blueprint because I am literally living this right now, right? I run this streaming video podcast. I run an online store. I produce videos. I market. I sell. I write. I design. And I use AI tools every single day to do things that you used to need a full-time, full staff for. I used to need a video editor to cut reels, but now I have Brad, and I have these AI tools that are working alongside him to produce content faster than CNN can fact check a Trump fart. What did he really mean by that? I used to have to write dozens of emails by hand. What's up, John Rail? Now, Stephanie and I will collaborate to draft, revise, schedule, test headlines. I used to stress at night about marketing. Am I marketing my stuff enough? Now I generate ads, thumbnails, voiceovers, headlines, all in minutes. It's an absolute revolution. And my revenue stream is now not driven by having a full staff full of people. It's driven by efficiency, right? And this is what they're calling the second internet moment. And the people who recognize it now, the people who start building on top of these tools will be the millionaires and media moguls of the next decade. Think about this. Would you hire 5 people if you can do what you can do now on a Tuesday morning before your second cup of founding flavors? Right? And let me give you all the punchline of all this. All right. All of this is actually being held back right now. There are people who are standing athwart history yelling, stop. They're standing in our way. These are bureaucrats. These are regulators. These are safety boards, and they want licenses, right? They want AI to be ethical. The most unethical people on this planet want to regulate AI to be ethical, right? It's the fox guarding the hen house, right? And when the elites say that they want AI to be ethical, what they mean is, what that is code for is that they want AI to keep them safe. They want AI to protect them and their sinecures. They want AI to protect their industries and to protect them from you, right? They want a 10,000 page report before you can create a business logo. They want you to show up with copies in paper in triplicate, and one of them has to be mailed as well in order for you to generate a new product, right? The real risk isn't that artificial intelligence is going to take your job. The real risk isn't that AI is going to be doing too much, right? The real risk is that the elites want to make sure you're not allowed to use it unless you're already rich, credentialed, or connected. And what does this mean for you? So if you're sitting on an idea, now is the time to launch it. You don't need a coder to create an app. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I don't know how to, I understand like the gist of HTML, but I could never code anything. We wanted to fix a problem that we're having on our website. We've been having a problem on our website for months, Stephanie and I. It's been bugging us, but there have just been other things that have been on our lap. So yesterday, we went in there and we said, all right, these new AI coding apps, they're supposed to be geniuses. We pitted Grok and ChatGPT against each other to try and solve the problem that we were having, where it used to be that you couldn't zoom in on products on the For Liberty shop. Look at that beautiful. Javier Malay's got great jeans. Look at this. An embroidered Javier Malay Afuera denim jacket. Comes in black or blue. Available exclusively at forlibertyshop.com. A gorgeous Javier Malay lion on the chest and an Afuera on the back. If somebody recognizes Javier Malay and sees you in that denim jacket in public, just think about how many friends you're going to make. Because anybody that recognizes that and approaches you about it, you're going to make new friends. And you can unlock the entire bonus content this morning simply by going to the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com, typing in Javier Milei Afuera Lion Denim Jacket, and you can basically get the whole bonus program unlocked this morning with one denim jacket, $99.99. Would you pay $99.99 for that jacket? Embroidered, exclusive, can get it nowhere else. I think I would. So in order for us to get those products, the pictures of those products, to be able to blow up so people could actually zoom in on them, we pitted our two product. We pitted Grok and ChatGPT against one another. And now, here we've got it. We can actually click and zoom in to our products. That's the number one selling product there in our shop, by the way, Jeffersonian Java. You can now click, you can zoom in. Both of them diagnosed the exact same problem. We went in, we fixed the code, we did it ourselves. That would have cost us like $75, $150. Hire somebody on Fiverr to do that. So this isn't it. You don't need to be a studio to make a documentary anymore. You don't need a marketing team to start a product line. You just need guts, you need time, and you need to be able to access the truth. Barney Style says, you can zoom in now? That's awesome. It's been bugging the hell out of me on small logo products. Yeah, see, look. There you go. I'm solving your problems. I'm solving my problems, because now people feel a little bit better about the products that they buy at the Grift Shop, which you guys should absolutely do this morning. Somebody from Japan bought like a ton of Javier Milei stuff this morning. All the stuff that we sell to Japan out of the shop is the Javier Milei stuff. They've got huge fans of him. Maybe we need to go back to Japan. What do you guys think? Should we do a Liberty tour of Japan? That'd be fun. We'll go to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All right. So this is why I'm working on this AI course, because the way I see this is kind of, it's not like underground railroad level yet, you might say, until they step in and they start trying to regulate this technology. Because when you talk about power to the people, this is power to the people. This is an incredible amount of power that is being given to ordinary citizens. It is nothing short of a revolution that is happening. An entrepreneurial revolution is coming. AI is democratizing technology. This is your opportunity. If you've ever said to yourself, do you have weaknesses? Guess what my weakness is? I'm not great at quick math. I'm not going to be able to sit down really fast. I could never be a dealer. I like to play blackjack. Sometimes I like to watch blackjack, like high stakes blackjack games on YouTube. And I sit there and I watch the dealer, and they're counting those cards, and they're counting everybody's money out. And I'm just like, bro, if that was me, I would be screwed. And then I looked up how much a dealer makes, and I'm like, oh, if you have those kinds of skills, why are you a dealer? But so there you go. I'm not good at quick math. I couldn't sit there and do quick math, but now I don't have to worry about it. I have a team of accountants sitting there doing my work for me, can create spreadsheets. If you have a weakness and you say to yourself, well, I've never accomplished my dreams, or I've never done this, or I've never done that because I'm nervous about having to do quick math, or I couldn't do this, I couldn't solve these complex calculations. I was able to produce a full 3-day documentary and have it down to the minute. Everything scheduled and set, and hire the whole cast and write the business contracts and everything and do all that. You would have had to have a whole studio to do all that stuff. And now it's been narrowed down. The tools are available to you to build a business. And I'm telling you that if you are getting into AI now, you will probably be a part of the millionaire class or the technology elite class just 10 short years from now. I'm 44 years old. Where will I be when I'm 54 years old? I'd like to have 75 to 150 children's books out there collecting royalties and sharing the ideas of liberty with more young kids. We're going to start writing books about actual popular presidents. We got to stick to our roots. Calvin Coolidge and Grover Cleveland. But unfortunately, people buy the George Washington and Thomas Jefferson books probably a little bit more. That's okay. But if you haven't gotten your copy of Grover, the Note President, make sure you do that. Those are available at Amazon. So if you click to the Grift Shop, it's linked to the very top. It'll take you directly to the Grover, the Nope President. Drew Van Runkle, offering some show tips, says that a nice touch for the weather bug would have it rotating with the weather in Buenos Aires. Yes, very true. We're so glad and thankful to have people like Drew Van Runkle and Grizz Cheese and Quest Fanning and Y2 Joe and so many others helping to make the Wake Up America show strong and to make sure that we're on a lot, just like Robbie Thurman, helping to make sure that we're still live next month. And when we hit that bonus content goal, I know that we're going to make it. So the more people learn this, the less power that the elites have to hoard. The more you learn these tools, the more you're capable, the more you are self-sustaining, the less power that others have over you. I can't tell you guys, listen, do I have to work my ass off? Do I stress? Do I sometimes worry about money or about things that, what's going to happen next month? Am I going to make payroll? All this kind of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I have all those really scary things that are going to, make sure that I die at 72 years old at the, the American average, hopefully I'll make it at least that far. Right? Do I have those kinds of stressors? Yes, absolutely. But God bless America. Let me just tell you something about not having an HR, not having a boss, right? Being able to pick up and go where you want. You want to talk about real freedom. If you have not picked up an AI tool yet, this is your sign. If you have been wondering, how can it help me to solve complex problems that I have with my business, with my job, with my personal life, my schedule, holding myself accountable, having someone who is working for you full time, today is your day. This is your sign. Drew Van Runkle says, keep on keeping on. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. We've raised right around $4 or $5 towards the $75 phase of the bonus goal. Yeah, $2, $3, more like $3 towards the $75 and $100 bonus goal. Don't forget, guys, to go grift shopping at the Grift Shop. Now, ask yourself, would you rather be employed by a corporation that's cutting jobs and begging the AI for regulations? Is that the position that you want to find yourself in? Or would you rather be the guy who learned how to run 3 businesses out of a spare bedroom using tools that cost less than dinner at Olive Garden? And one more thing here, guys. For the patriots who are looking around and thinking, what if I don't want to play this game in this country anymore? Then you need to hear about this. Now, if you're the kind of person watching this AI revolution and thinking not just how to survive it, but how to win, then I've got something for you. If you're excited about what Javier Milei is doing in Argentina, cutting spending, slashing red tape, throwing bureaucrats into the philosophical wood chipper, philosophical. Then you guys should not miss this year's Expat Money Summit. It's hosted by Mikkel Thorup. He's the world-renowned expat consultant and host of the Expat Money Show. And we actually have a lot of expats who listen to the Wake Up America shows. So if you're a big fan of what Javier Milei is doing in Latin America, then this year's summit is laser focused on that topic. And they've got bursting fresh markets coming out of Argentina. People are investing like crazy into that country. All sorts of opportunities abound. And of course, for those who are like me looking at Argentina with longing, they're also going to talk about property and escape hatches for people in case things get bad. You're going to get boots on the ground insights for things like how to get a second residency or a passport, how to legally eliminate your taxes, how to buy international real estate, how to set up offshore banking accounts, and most importantly, how to move your freedom somewhere it'll be respected. And I'm going to be speaking on a VIP panel at the summit, breaking down Trump's plans for Latin America and what they mean for your liberty, your wealth, and your future. And the event, it's 100% free. So go to expatmoneysummit.com. That's EXPAT, expat like expatriate, expatmoneysummit.com right now. Grab your free ticket. And if you want access to the VIP panel, then use the discount code Austin for 20% off your VIP pass. There you go. So Austin is the code for 20% off. If you want to get the VIP panels and the VIP pass, go to expatmoneysummit.com. Sign up today, and you'll thank me when the next tax bill hits, okay? Okay, there we go. All right, so let's talk about law, order, and the screeching panic attacking what's happening in the Beltway right now.
But people don't always feel the statistics, right? Do you, as someone who works in the District of Columbia, you drive through it all the time, you know a lot of people who live here all the time, do you feel like crime is down in D.C. compared to other more recent years?
Well, definitely when you compare it to, other periods in the history of Washington, D.C., when there was, very serious spikes in crime and it, felt really dangerous to go out. But look, I agree, you can't feel safe enough, especially these days. The question is who you trust to promote your security and public safety. Is it the mayor and the council and the people who actually report to people who live there? Or do you trust Donald Trump to do that? Because, his attention span is like, 32 seconds. And then he's going to be off to talking about the tariffs, or he's going to be off and talking about something in Los Angeles or whatever. I mean, you've got to trust the local officials to do this. And, there's something that's very fraudulent about what's taking place. He also.
But
So Donald J. Trump, your duly elected, fully reinstalled, teleprompter-free, covfefe-sipping president, he's your president, is doing what no Democrat has dared to do in 3 decades, take back Washington, D.C. According to the New York Post, Trump is moving to federalize the D.C. police, override the city's so-called home rule, and bring in the National Guard. The mayor, powerless. The council, powerless. And judging by the headlines, you'd think he just rolled tanks down Constitution Avenue. But let me remind you that this isn't Portland. This is not Chicago. Washington, D.C. belongs to the American people. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution gives Congress full control over the Capitol. The only reason that there's a mayor at all is because Congress let there be one. Now, D.C. has been on probation since 1973. And folks, the city has flunked the test. Murders are up. Carjackings are up. Theft, assault, open-air drug markets, smash and grabs at designer stores 2 blocks from the Capitol. And the same bureaucrats who demand $100 billion to protect Ukrainian borders can't keep 14th Street safe. Trump looked at that and said, no more. And it's not as if everybody is marching lockstep with the Democrats to oppose Trump's actions on this one. Even some reporters are speaking out. Listen to this.
We've been talking so much about the numbers, and usually that's how you play devil's advocate, is you talk about, stats say crime is down. However, I can tell you firsthand here in downtown D.C. where we work, right here around our bureau, just in the past 6 months, there were 2 people shot. 1 person died, literally 2 blocks down here from the bureau. It was within the last 2 years that I actually was jumped walking just 2 blocks down from here. And then just this morning, one of my coworkers said her car was stolen a block away from the bureau. So we can talk about the numbers going down, but crime is happening every single day because we're all experiencing it firsthand while working and living down here. We've been talking so much.
Yeah, exactly. No, there you go. It matters. It matters. But what about thug culture? Quest Fanning asks. This law enforcement is culturally insensitive. It's hashtag colonialism. Thank you, Quest. We've raised $5 towards the $75 to $100 bonus goal. If you guys want to see our defense against the dark arts class, make sure you keep those Rumble rants rolling or head to the Liberty Shop at forlibertyshop.com and help us to unlock that bonus content. So we're talking about Trump taking over D.C. According to The Spectator, even D.C. residents are quietly supportive because they live there. Because when the sun goes down, they're not clutching pearls in a Manhattan newsroom. They're clutching pepper spray on the Red Line. And then you've got Democrats like Eleanor Holmes Norton screaming about authoritarianism, warning about a slippery slope. The slope has already slipped. It's collapsed. It's rubble. This is a cleanup mission. And the streets of D.C. are not sacred ground for activists and anarchists to test policy theories. It is the seat of the federal government. And when it turns into Gotham City, it's time for Batman to show up. This time he's wearing a red tie and signing executive orders. And let me get even more real with you guys. If Trump didn't step in, they'd call him weak. They'd say that he was all talk, right? But now that he's actually doing something, they are calling it a coup. And this is how they play the game. They complain no matter what because they're not interested in outcomes. They're interested in having control for themselves, right? And this is what brings us to something deeper, right? This is where your old pal, Aristotle comes in. Anybody, any Aristotle fans out there like Lou Diamond, Yuppie. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. And if a government will not uphold justice, if it abandons its duty to protect the innocent and punish the guilty, then that government is no longer moral. Trump isn't breaking the rules, he's fulfilling them. He's stepping in where local leaders have failed. Now, you may not like the optics, you may wish it could be handled another way, but sometimes in a fallen city, you need a hammer. And the same people who are screaming about tyranny, these are the ones who celebrated vaccine mandates. These are the people who wanted to put you in jail if you were swimming on the beach alone, in private, if you were out in the kayak by yourself. Those are the people who are screaming fascism. Those are the people who are telling you that you are a Nazi, a tyrant, an authoritarian. These people, they don't hate tyranny. They hate not being the tyrant. So let me ask you this. What would you do if St. Louis looked like this, or Kansas City? They're worse. Well, this is a fight we're having here in Missouri, right here in Jefferson City, about whether or not the police should be able to be answered to by the governor of the state of Missouri. This is a fight. We're going to talk about this with State Senator Nick Schroer. He'll be joining us this morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time on the Wake Up America show. So make sure that you stick around for that. It's going to be a fantastic show. Now, all this shrieking that you're hearing right now from the press and the pundits, do you know who's not screaming? The mom who's had to walk her kids past at least 3 drug dealers on the street, right? The commuter who made it to work without seeing a stabbing on the metro, right? The guy who parked his car at night and didn't wake up to broken glass. That's who wins, and that's who matters. And if Trump can make Washington, D.C. a test case for restoring order, the implications for cities across the country are enormous. It's going to be a fantastic show this morning. You guys do not want to miss a single minute of the Wake Up America show. If you're fired up about what you're hearing today, if you want to do more than just clap along, here's a way you can actually help. We are hiring. The Liberty Movement needs warriors, not wishcasters. Go to campaignjobsnow.com/apply. Whether you've got media skills or policy chops, or if you've just got the fire in the belly, guys, there are campaigns out there right now, hiring right now, paying exorbitant wages. If you guys have been looking to make a career switch, or you're just looking for a fresh challenge, then campaignjobsnow.com/apply is your place. It's not a job board. This is a network of active campaigns that are in need of people like you. If you can knock a door, make a video, or destroy a narrative, then we've got a place for you right now in the Freedom Ninja Army. Go to campaignjobsnow.com/apply, because liberty doesn't defend itself.
Today, we are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. DC should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on. As the president said, Terry Cole is going to be supervising the Metro Police Department. Gaddy Serralta, our U.S. Marshal, is going to be supervising command and control, the entire operation. Our Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and I will be working with them closely, along with our great FBI Director, Kash Patel. Kash is going to talk to you in a minute about what we did in Virginia recently with Governor Youngkin. Many of you covered that, and it was tremendously successful. Not only that, our secret weapon here in D.C. is U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, one of the toughest prosecutors and a former judge, and she is going to be talking about juvenile crime, how it's out of control here, and what she's going to do to fight back. No more crime rampant in our beautiful capital. No more teenage girls beating a disabled man to death. No more of that. No more drive-bys. We're going to do everything we can. And working with the ATF, ATF Director Driscoll and Commander of the Army, we're going to all work together. That's what we all do in this room. We work together. We fight. Do not underestimate one person in this room. We're going to make D.C. beautiful. We're going to make D.C. safe again. One other thing, just...
Hope you're right. All right. So, Trump, they aren't just talking about law and order. They're doing something that the last three presidents, maybe a dozen mayors, were too scared or too compromised to do. You guys remember Mayor Marion Barry, the guy whose famous quote was, "Bitch set me up"? Bitch set me up. So Trump's pulling the ripcord here. He's calling in the National Guard. He's federalizing the DC police force and putting an end, for now, to the embarrassing farce of what has been called home rule. Now, I want you to think about this phrase, okay, for home rule, right? It's cute, right? It makes you sound like DC is just a plucky little city managing its own affairs like Mayberry, trying to make its way into the world, questioning its gender. But DC is not just any city, right? It is a federally controlled district. It's a zone created explicitly so that no single state, no local mob could control the capital of the United States. And that's not executive overreach. This is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. Trump is not breaking the rules here. He's enforcing them in a way that frankly should have happened years ago. You guys remember the 2020 riots? Churches burning near the White House, statues being torn down and defaced. Cops were told to stand down. Businesses were looted. And what did the DC City Council do? They passed resolutions condemning the response. Not the destruction, they condemned the response. Jesus. Excuse me. Yes, sire. And who is really mad about this? Right? The same people who were fine with DC shutting down churches, closing schools, mandating masks, banning gatherings, and threatening small business owners during COVID. These are the people now clutching their pearls about authoritarianism. It's fascism. Right? It's not a moral compass. Right? It's a weather vane. Wind is at 6 kilometers per hour, wind gust 12 kilometers per hour, and it's a beautiful, balmy 72 degrees in Jefferson City, Missouri. What's the news saying down there? And what is the media saying? Of course, most of the media are saying, oh, it's a dangerous precedent, right? It's a dangerous precedent. That's how the media reports it. What is more dangerous, the precedent or getting stabbed in Washington, D.C.? As if we haven't spent the last 30 years watching Democrat mayors turn the city into bankruptcy, chaos, violence. Let me give you some quick numbers here, right? In 2023, DC had over 274 homicides, the most in 2 decades. Carjackings doubled between 2022 and 2024. The DC metro system is now so dangerous, some federal employees have actually been told openly to avoid it. This isn't just a policy failure. This is a moral failure. Aristotle said that the aim of politics is the cultivation of virtue. But we live in a city where criminals are treated like victims and victims are ignored unless they vote the right way. DC doesn't need a conversation. It needs a task force. It needs a mop, a badge, and maybe a curfew. But here's the real play. Okay, Trump is testing something right here. He's planting a flag. If this works, if order is restored in DC, then this becomes the model. Imagine this, right? Federal funding tied to crime stats. DOJ reforms based on success, not politics. And cities that want help, get it. Cities that don't, proving they don't deserve it.
Here's the problem. Assuming that they're 17 years, older than 17 years old, I can get the case. If they're under 18 years of age, I can only get the case if it's murder, rob one, rape, even if they shoot a gun but don't kill you, I can't get it. So the law has to be changed. As the president said, cashless bail. That has to be changed. All right, then even assuming I get the case, I get jurisdiction, I get a conviction, the DC Council has given the judges the ability to give probation on shootings. And so then it's up to them. All of these things, the Youth Rehabilitation Incarceration Reduction Act, and now they want to seal records. So if we work hard, we get a conviction, they want to wipe it out. So that needs all to be changed.
Yeah, what do you think? Let me ask you guys something. Would you support intervention in St. Louis if it reached this level of collapse? Right? Would you support it in Baltimore? Baltimore looks like Fallujah in some places. It looks as if there's a bit of bomb dropped off in a lot of the places in Baltimore. If you've never ridden the train between New York and DC and you see Baltimore, you can see all of the burned out buildings, the destruction. I wouldn't go to Baltimore if you paid me $5,000, $10,000. Absolutely. There's a price. I can afford a bodyguard then. Right? Or would you say that the cities made their bed, they have to lie in it? I want to hear your thoughts on that one, right? Because the libertarian in me wants decentralization. Like the idea of home rule instinctively sounds good to me, but the realist, we've seen what happens in these cities under single party rule for too long. The corruption doesn't get smaller. It metastasizes. Metastasizes. Excuse me. Thank you. You can't local control your way out of moral rot. And that's what this really is. This is a test of moral clarity. Right? The federal government should not be a nanny, but it should be a guard dog. Right? And when the front porch is burning, it's not authoritarian to grab a hose. Trump's not scrubbing DC. He's scrubbing the narrative. He's saying, we tried your way, we failed. Now we're going to try my way. And whether you love the man or you tolerate him, you have to admit, he's doing what nobody else has the stones to do. We're going to talk to Camellia Peterson today on the Wake Up America show. Everybody's got a price for the $1 million man. Ha, 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 ha. Yes, Y2J. The Javier Milei Afuera lined denim jacket is less than 24 hours old, available at the Liberty Shop at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number forlibertyshop.com. And for those of you who are monthly subscribers to the Wake Up America show, remember, you get a 20% discount at the Liberty Shop. So why don't you head on over this morning and help to unlock that bonus content. Javier Milei has great jeans. The brand new Javier Milei Afuera lion denim jacket, available at forlibertyshop.com. I want you to check this sucker out. It comes in black and it comes in blue. The Javier Milei embroidered lion on the front and the Javier Milei Afuera on the back. Absolutely beautiful denim jackets for this fall. Available exclusively at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number forlibertyshop.com. St. Selma has caught up, but have you visited the Liberty Shop? We've raised $5 towards the $75 and $100 bonus content goal. Whoopsie. Well, Cecilia, $10. We've raised $10 towards the $75 and $100 bonus content goal. And today's special class, our Defense Against the Dark Arts class, will be taught by the Magic Mirror, who, having been a slave for 1,000 years, forced only to tell the truth for the wicked queen, after her death, has now been released and has joined us today to act as our guest professor for our Defense Against the Dark Arts class. We have many votes over in our Discord server for which class should be taught today. So far, there have been 8 votes, 1 for the spell of permanent emergency, or B, the glamour of false virtue. If you guys would like to see one of those classes or vote, I just dropped the poll over there in the Rumble chat on our Discord server for the For Liberty Network. Head on over there, make sure that you vote and decide which spell you would like to have a class to defend against today, taught by the Magic Mirror. So we've raised $10 towards the $75 goal. That unlocks the mini documentary, and $100 will unlock the Defense Against the Dark Arts class. Do you guys think we're going to make it? I'm a little concerned. I'm nervous. I think we won't make it, but maybe we will. Just head over to the 4 Liberty shop, and one Javier Milei denim jacket will unlock that bonus content for you. Can we do it? Let's do it, guys. Do it. Go into debt if you have to. Just kidding. So I think it's more than just strategic what Trump is doing. I think it's symbolic. And I also think that this is a form of psychological warfare. And I completely understand where Cecilia is coming from over in the comments, talking about concern about going too far. Absolutely warranted. But should it be allowed for homeless people to just set up encampments in public spaces and just live there and create these dens of vice and sin on our streets? Where there are homeless encampments, there are danger. Why should people who actually live in the district have to face those dangers because someone is not willing to act? You know, and when I was thinking about this yesterday too, because we've gotten so used to Donald Trump, we're so conditioned by Donald Trump taking bold actions that we forgot what it was like when presidents really didn't do stuff like this. They would make bold reforms. Wild speeches were very rare from U.S. presidents, but we basically get like a carnival every single day coming out of the White House because Trump is so colorful, he's so vibrant, and he takes risks and he makes bold decisions. People thought Obama was bold, but he really was nothing compared to Donald Trump. But when people see the president of the United States take action where others made excuses, people have their expectations reprogrammed. And the left knows this, and that is why they are panicking. If you remember one thing from this segment, let it be this: competence is contagious. We've seen what Democrat one-party rule does to our beloved and beautiful cities in this country. We know what the results of that will be. We don't know what the results of a Republican-led administration, federated district will look like. We don't know, right? But if they're competent, that will become contagious. More people will want to have things like this happening in towns near them. Competence is contagious. When people see crime go down, they don't care if the mayor lost her job. They care that they can walk to work without getting stabbed. Right? When people see order restored, they don't cry about home rule. They ask, why didn't someone do this earlier? And this is what terrifies them, right? If Trump can make DC the control group, then every failing city becomes the experiment. And that terrifies the left because they have spent years telling us that crime is complicated. People like Zoran Mandani, the potential new mayor of New York City, talking about violence is an artificial construct, right? Lawlessness, it's a social construct, right? Breaking windows, that's just free speech. But breaking up a riot, that's fascism. Trump is saying, watch me do it better. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time he tried this. In 2020, he offered federal law enforcement to Portland, Seattle, Chicago. And what did the Democrat mayors of those cities say? We don't need your help. They treated it like an ego contest. And the citizens paid their price in blood. But now it's different. Trump's not asking. He's acting. And he's choosing the most visible, symbolically loaded city in America to do it. So here's a question I want to throw out to the audience. Hit me up in the Rumble chat right now or over in the Discord if you like. Should the federal government have the authority to step in when a city fails to protect its own citizens? Is that a necessary function of the republic, or is it a dangerous, slippery slope? Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Very serious purpose. Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that. Very good people, but they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it.
So if he succeeds, this becomes a blueprint. If he fails, it becomes a rallying cry. Either way, the game is changed. Coming up next, Camellia Peterson joins me to talk about a certain viral post that claims men don't need sex and why the culture war keeps coming back to the bedroom. Stay tuned. The next segment gets real spicy. Don't forget, guys, to unlock that bonus content. If you want to see today's Defense Against the Dark Arts class or today's mini documentary, then keep those Rumble Rants rolling. We're glad for people like Evan Rowan says, afuera with the criminals. Amen, brother. Amen. Oh, we need sex, says Mighty Megatron. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good segment. Do you think that Camelia's going to blush? I bet you she's blushing already. Let's go and find out. We go to a commercial break because we haven't unlocked the bonus content yet. When we unlock that bonus content, you get to watch that instead of commercials. So head to the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. Get a denim jacket, a box of coffee. Help to unlock that sweet, sweet bonus content. If we don't, it goes away forever. I love you.
Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz. Caught 2.
The third? Huh.
The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here. And it's absolutely unapologetic. Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, Waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers. Pronouns are mandatory. And Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop for libertyshop.com. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the 4 Libert tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back, with sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama!
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty.
Can we all talk about Father Mike Schmitz? I showed him to a girlfriend who's not Catholic, and she's like, when's Mass?
What about the man needing sex? That's just a cultural narrative that basically says men are like animals and they have to be able to do this sexual thing. Otherwise, they're going to go crazy. And the reality is there's whole vocations that are celibate. And these are virile men, men's men. Some of the most masculine of men I know are priests. We need food. We need air to breathe. We don't need sex.
It's a gift
of coming together, and it's designed to bring life into the world.
I think the sexiest thing about a guy is like their self-control. And my husband has amazing self-control. So after baby number 4, when we started practicing NFP, it was like we couldn't do it sometimes when we wanted to. And that kind of made things a little steamier, like not gonna lie. It's hard on him too, don't get me wrong. People will say, well, oh, do you just do other things for your husband?
Oh my God, that was hard to get through, man. It's like watching like one of those lefty TikToks with the cringe almost. It's that level of cringe, but in the opposite direction. Good morning, pineapples. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. That lovely lady that you see over on the right side of my screen is not related to me. She's Camellia Peterson. I'm Camellia Petersen. Hi, CJ.
Good morning. I'm just going to sip my coffee and wonder what the heck is going on.
I saw somebody make a post about that yesterday. They said that many women like to see themselves perpetually as Eve. Pure. Pure as the driven snow. Sinless. Even my husband doesn't touch me. We use artificial insemination.
I don't...
No!
Like, where are these women? I don't understand this. It's like, what in the world? I don't know what that, like, perpetually as Eve. Why would you want to do that?
Camellia, welcome to the show. It's another segment of Make Camellia Blush. Thank you for putting up with these topics. After you will be Nick Schroer of Missouri. So there's 3 Missourians on the Wake Up America show today. Very exciting. So what was your first reaction when you saw her post claiming men don't need sex? Do you think that this empowers men, or is this more pathologizing of masculinity?
I mean, yes, the latter, but also it is baffling because, especially, she's very Christian, right? And one of the things that I think that I have probably heard since childhood is that women are not supposed to withhold themselves from their husbands. Like that is like a tenet of Christianity.
Isn't that like in the Bible?
She was using other parts of the Bible to say differently. But Paul, the Apostle Paul, she's using one thing from the Apostle Paul, but in another place, he says kind of something different. Although I think the Apostle's point was that you make a choice, and if you choose to do this one thing, then you do it, and there are reasons why you do that. But otherwise, don't do these things to the point where you're going to tempt yourself to sin, which, I think was, what his whole point in this. But this idea that this applies to marriage, I don't know. To me, this is feminism, right?
Yes, that is where this conversation is going. But before we get to the whole this is feminism, this is not conservatism point, I want to make an interesting point based on the very beginning of this. I'm just going to play again the first 15 seconds of this clip where they're talking about the priest, okay?
Can we all talk about Father Mike Schmitz? I showed him to a girlfriend who's not Catholic, and she's like, when's Mass?
I was at church the other day and I saw a nun, Camellia, and I thought about bending her over the pew. Now imagine if I had said something like that. Yeah, exactly. Imagine if I had said something like that about a nun, if I'd sexualized a nun, and now they're sexualizing a male priest, and that's perfectly fine in their world, is it not? Is this another issue of the glaring double standards, Camellia?
I mean, there are people who do that with nuns, but we consider them like reprobates, right? I mean, we don't necessarily normalize that and laugh at it and say that's okay. So why would we? Is
Lila Rose here being a reprobate with her friend on this show?
I mean, it's inappropriate. It's a double standard. Why is one okay and not the other? That is this is where, this is feminism. It is a double standard. And I just this whole thing just baffles me. And to me, it goes back to the concept of balance, right? I mean, because there's such a swing back and forth with the pendulum from one extreme to another. And here she is saying that you have to practice celibacy, within your marriage. And it's okay to ogle the priest, but it's not okay for men to ogle women.
Not that anybody, I think, would ever really look at a nun that way. BB for Liberty over the chat says, well, I definitely never said that about the nuns at my high school.
You don't exactly see sexy nun habits for Halloween, right?
Well, I don't know, actually, kind of, sometimes. Okay. If you lived in New York City or DC for any period of time, then yeah.
Well, anyway.
You follow the right Instagram feeds, you know what I'm saying?
Reprobates.
Reprobate, I know, I see, I am fallen. But Camellia, where this is all going is this conversation that we've been having and that the right really needs to have, which is, what does it really mean to be conservative as a female conservative woman? Because it seems as if they're all riding on the backs of feminism. They're feminists when it's convenient and conservatives when it's convenient. Which means are they really conservatives, or are they even really feminists at all? They're just the same self-serving, craven politicians that we would know in anything. They just happen to look prettier.
Yeah, I don't. It is. I don't know how to explain people like this. To me, it feels like it's just part of the influencer grift, so to speak, right? It's something to get attention. It's something to make waves. And, Lila Rose, for all of the work that she's done, I don't think she's not immune to that. And so I think you have to continually find something to keep yourself relevant. And I do think that, sometimes these Christian influencers have worked themselves, they get in this bubble, right? You get into this Christian bubble of thinking that you're the authority on these issues.
Right.
And this trad life trend. And, what is that makes us really different? And is it just, baking cookies and bread and wearing, farm dresses or milkmaid dresses, right? I mean, is it more than that? And so now, we're into, it is about, being pure even within your marriage and this self-sacrifice and expecting, where is her husband? Like, is her husband speaking on this? Because there's a whole lot of these trad influencers online speaking for their husbands. But where are their husbands in this? And are their husbands willing to say what they really think? So to me, this is the idea that you've gone to the other extreme of things. And I think somewhat the two ends of the spectrum are constantly being reactionary to each other, because when you talk about the red pill movement and what the common rhetoric that you hear coming out of this, the people who are providing quality content are not necessarily saying this, but it's kind of become affiliated with this idea that men should have access to women whenever they want, if they can get them, right? And so that's the whole goal, is to play the game and to, have all that access. But they want the pure women to marry. They're just going to like
the double
use the
standard that I'm okay with, because it works in my favor, of course.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yes.
But I also do it. I also maintain that double standard because I do think that there's a reason that double standard exists. And there's a reason why certain double standards exist, because men are not women and women are not men. And if we agree that there are differences between the sexes, then you have to admit there will be some double standards. So if that means that I have to live in a world where where 9 out of 10 or 9.9 out of every 10 double standards that exist are all towards, white women's favor, then that I'll hold on to that double standard. But here's what I think is indicative of a larger problem in the gender war discussion. When she said men don't need sex, I mean, you talk about living in your bubbles. Do I need to explain to you, Camellia, or do you pretty much have a pretty good indicator of what do you? Can I ask you? Do you think men, do you look at priests and say, oh, men don't need sex? Or do you think even priests probably every once in a while might yearn, might need something? But she used the word need. It's not about want. In terms of Maslow's hierarchy, I'm pretty sure it's at the bottom of the pyramid along with eating and drinking. So what do you think? Do men need it, Camellia?
I think it is a biological urge that you don't choose, right? This is not something that you choose, just like you don't choose to eat and drink to survive. However, that also doesn't mean that you're gluttonous and that you blow up to 300 pounds because you're eating out of control.
This is America.
But here's the thing, like when you talk about what is conservative, what is traditional, how long have we heard this idea that they're saying, that traditional conservatives are saying men should get married specifically for this reason, because it removes that temptation, because then you have somebody for those needs, right? And so what are you going to do? Tell men to get married so that you can have someone for those needs without being a philanderer, and then at the same time, but say, but when you're in your marriage, sorry, you also are going to have to deny those needs too, right? I mean, it's like they're wanting to have it both ways, and that makes no sense.
It's this it's the abstinence culture, I think, has warped some brains. Is it good to be abstinent for your husband and to be the only person that they ever made love to in your life? Maybe, probably a good thing for some people, maybe not good for absolutely everybody. There's a universalism, I think, that exists in most people's beliefs. If it's good for me, it must be good for everyone.
Yes.
But nobody can recognize the fact that we don't live in an orthodox world. We live in a heterodox world. And that there is an entire, and I think what is happening with female conservatism right now on the modern right is a tragedy. It is a train wreck. And it reminds us why. It gives the misogynists so much fertile ground because you look at the woman haters and they say things like, this is what happens when you give women power. This is what happens when you give them the right to vote. I mean, Camellia, are you embarrassed on your gender's behalf often?
I have been often embarrassed of my gender for many years. I'm sorry to say. Like, women, I don't understand you. I don't get you. What's the deal? No, that said, like, I
mean, listen, there's definitely more cause for embarrassment than there is proud. Like, how often would you say, comparatively, would you say you go, wow, she makes me proud to be a woman, right? Like you're having like a Winsome Sears moment, right? And you're like, wow, proud to be a woman. Or are you having a Nancy Mace wearing her pajamas to the Capitol moment more often? Camellia, would you say comparatively?
I mean, comparatively, yes, it's more of the latter.
There's a lot of women moments.
Like, you do have to.
There's a whole meme ecosystem that's called woman moments or women women posting their L's.
Yes. I do think that women get more attention for that too. I will always say there are good women out there, and I have several female friends who like, we don't do that drama stuff. Like, I mean, whatever. Well, like it just, we're sane.
Well, maybe it's all about wanting the clicks. Speaking about the abstinent right, Camellia, let's talk about this. Let's talk about something that's more fun than the culture war to me, but this is real serious policy. SCOTUS challenge to Obergefell. This is the same-sex marriage ruling. How serious do you think this challenge is to Obergefell, legally speaking? Do you think this could gain traction, or is it a political stunt?
I mean, I think that they are serious about it, but do I think that it's actually going to, like, I'm skeptical as to whether or not the court will even agree to hear it. There's some steps to be had, and I think a lot of this, according to what they said, won't happen until next year. But when you think back, so this is the case where it was the county clerk, I think, or the circuit clerk who had denied the marriage license right after that was overturned. And so there's a lot of debate. And so then I think she was sued for damages by the two people that she denied the license to. And so it does bring about the question of, if you are working for the government, what kind of rights, religious rights or otherwise, do you have in your role in working for the government? Because the government's job is to enforce the law.
Help us to understand that, because we're talking about this. We're talking about the person who raised this lawsuit. This is the woman who was it Arkansas or some other corn-fried state where it was she didn't want to do her job as a clerk, which she was a government employee and was required to certify marriage licenses. Right. And she's the one who has brought the suit again.
Yes. And so, when she was sued for that, so she's bringing her case and has lost in, the court, in the upper courts up to the Supreme Court so far. But that's always the question, is that's part of her job, was to issue those marriage licenses. And to me, when I was reading through that, because that's been a few years since I've even read about it, and kind of refreshing my memory on it, my question as I was kind of going back through that was, if this was if this is very much, and obviously it is, a matter of conviction for her, like, how much of a conviction is it if you don't just walk away from your job? Because if that is your job, is to uphold the law as it stands in the country and how it applies to you locally. And they said she was the only one who could issue the marriage licenses. Well, okay, but she could have quit. Like if she cannot fulfill the duties of her job, she could have quit. And I guarantee you there would be somebody else that would have filled that role. And so, I mean, like that leads into a whole other discussion of, okay, well, what is the government's role in this? And then we get into the whole can of worms of, should the government even be in marriage? And of course, the answer is no. But I mean, this is the weeds you get into when the government has their fingers in so many things and in people's bedrooms and lives. And it's so hard to undo. And there are some very real life things that are impacted by this, because people will say, well, what does it matter if you have like a certificate with the state, you know, for same-sex marriages or whatever? But there are some very real like medical, legal ramifications of things like this, because unfortunately we have given the government the right to say, okay, if you are married, then, you know, if you're in the hospital and you're dying, like your spouse, you know, can make decisions for you, or, you know, other things like that. Like there are some legal rights that a spouse has. And so, I mean, it brings up the question then that if you are, you know, if you have someone in your life that you are committed to and wholly trust to do that, whether it's that kind of relationship or not, like, why do you not get those same kind of rights, you know, as far as if the government's going to be involved here? So I don't know. That is a whole other can of worms. But I think as it is, I mean, you know, one of the things the article talks about is like, are we seeing sort of a softening or a backlash in conservatives now toward same-sex marriage and homosexuality and those kind of things? And I do think that we are seeing people be more open about that than they would have been 5 years ago.
Camellia, in a situation, in a reverse Women of Lisa Strada situation, if all men were to gather together and deny women their essential seed, how do you think that the women would react if we all ganged up against you in a similar way and said, you know what, ladies, you're right, we don't need it. And we're going to work out. We're going to go to the gym. We're going to have bro time. We're going to play video games, and we're not interested in you intimately. How do you think the women would react?
Well, I mean, you know, feminists would tell you that that's fine. They don't need no man, right? But then you got the lady in the orange dress walking down the sidewalk saying, I can't even get any attention in a bar anymore. So she'd probably be kind of mad.
I think the feminists would be quite angry. Camellia, thank you for all the abuse that I put you through every Tuesday and Thursday here on the Wake Up America show. Not only do you suffer the slings and arrows of all the outrageous fortunes that I fling at you at this show, but you also support the Wake Up America show by purchasing our new children's book. Do you have a copy of Looky There? What do you think? You want to show it to the audience here real quick? Do us a little promo.
I love this so much. Like, I think, sorry. It
has to cover your face in order for it to zoom in on it.
So I love this because it is like, it's so visually pretty. I mean, the style in general is so nice. And the words, like the reading on it, like is just perfect for littles. There's a lot of repetition in it. Like it talks about he's the note president. So it talks about when he was small and, you know, what he loved from the start. And then it talks about how his family needed him to work when he was young. And he said, nope, to being lazy, right? I mean, you know, and it just goes through like all of the things that he said nope to. And I love, by the way, this page on Grover said nope to school.
Yes, he did. Yes.
And it was like, but it was because he studied on his own to become a lawyer and found his own path to success. And I was like, isn't that where we are right now? Where, you know, school became the mandate for everything, but now we have so much more available to us. And you've never had to have all of this technology available to you to forge your own path. Like people have done this for hundreds of years, and Grover Cleveland is a great example of that. So, and of course, when I posted about it, I had to post the page that said, he said nope to government waste.
Yeah.
My favorite one in there. So, you know, there was just lots of good. And I will say, along with the simplicity and the repetitious that littles love so much in this, there are good life lessons in here too, because you talk about saying no to government waste and saying no to being lazy. And you also talk about how he was so big and people had nicknames for him, but he said no to being mad.
Exactly. He just took it in stride.
More about it. Right. So there's, he said nope to being a bully. Like there are so many things all the way through here. And the veto nope. Right. And so
of course. Yeah. He was the veto president. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many good things about it. And I love it. And I don't even have littles anymore, but I bought it because, well, I love you guys. And I also love Grover Cleveland. And I thought it was really great. And so
Fantastic. Camellia, thank you so much for your review of Grover, the Note President, available now at many fine Amazon.coms.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, if you want to find where to get it easily, you can find the link pinned to the top of the Liberty Shop at forlibertyshop.com. Camellia, thanks for all you do. We appreciate you. We'll see you on Thursday at 8 a.m. Central, and then we'll see you at the Missouri State Fair on Saturday.
Yes, have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye. Take care.
We have home rule for a reason.
Because if it's safety and crime the president is worried about, Green has some thoughts to add to his agenda.
Or is he going to come pick up our trash next? Is that what I should expect? We do have areas with high grass that he can cut. I have infrastructure problems in my community. Can he put some funding on the table for that?
He shouldn't be making those kind of decisions. That's more like a dictator.
Gotti thinks that if this is the way the administration is going to continue...
Everybody now is in like a big old gumbo pot. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what's in it. You know what I'm saying? That's all. You don't know what you're going to get served.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looks like you really need to just step up and clean your own stinking grass. How about you cut your grass? And that's why I don't stand against Donald Trump taking federal control of D.C.
The president has been trying to provoke violence here, right here, in the black communities and in the brown communities, having ICE kidnap our neighbors, having the black community be harassed and profiled and want a response. We say, hell no, we won't go.
What?
We won't go. We won't go. Hell no, we won't go. When we say we won't go, that means we're not going into those mass incarceration, into their prisons and enslavement. We won't go into their ICE, what do you call his beautiful centers that he got. We won't go to where alligators live. Hell no, we won't go. Hell no, we won't go.
We won't go where alligators live.
Hell no, we won't go. Today we gather to speak plainly about policy path that sounds strong, but in truth, it weakens the very safety we seek. We believe there is a better way to protect us all. One that respects rights to build trust and keep our communities truly safe.
She's
and that is
smart, says Perth Girl 8. Peter the Great. Whoever went over to the Liberty Shop this morning, they must have got an alligator Alcatraz shirt or something, because we're getting closer to unlocking the first phase of the bonus content. If you haven't already, head over to the Liberty Shop. We've got the new Javier Milei Afuera Lion denim jacket. However, if you guys would like to get an alligator Alcatraz intake division shirt, these are hot sellers. Head to the Liberty Shop, forlibertyshop.com. Buy a shirt or two. You will unlock phase 1 of the bonus content. If we hit $100 raised, and I'm kind of nervous, I don't think we're going to make it today, but if we do hit $100 raised by the end of the show, you guys will have a Defense Against the Dark Arts class taught by the Magic Mirror from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, who will teach you about whichever class you voted for over in the Discord channel. So guys, head on over to the Liberty Shop. I'm going to go get State Senator Nick Schroer to talk about Washington, D.C., overturning of home rule. We're going to talk about cannabis laws and descheduling. You guys know that Missouri has got it legalized. There's a natural mystic flowing in the air. We'll be right back. Booyakasha.
Alligator Alcatraz, 1773. The fence keeps them in.
A band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship.
Plate.
Found the king's favorite tea and said,
"Looks like breakfast is making a
taste
run
better
for it. We
without
got
the
3 hot
tyranny."
meals trying to check out
Then they
early from
tossed it
Alligator
overboard.
Alcatraz."
They can splash,
Fast forward to today.
they can sprint,
That
but
revolutionary
there's no
spirit lives on in
escaping
Boston
alligator
Harbor Black,
Alcatraz.
the boldest brew in the 4 Liberty lineup.
Caught two.
It's dark.
The third.
It's smooth. It's unapologetically
The swamp's
American.
got its own way of
just
catching
like the folks who
runaways.
drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front
Mama was
porch
wrong.
or drinking it straight like a
Gators
Minuteman
don't
before
need
battle,
toothbrushes.
this isn't
Just
tea
an
for
honest
royalty.
job making America
It's tea
great
for
again.
rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at 4libertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot.
Are you tired of the strange radioactive effects of leftist culture? Do you ever wonder what happened to good old-fashioned American values? Well, fear no more, because there's a new force fighting back against the cultural rot of today. Introducing Culturama, a right-of-center talk show that's taking back the future today. Hosted by none other than blonde bombshell herself, Daniela Pensack. She's not just talking, she's taking culture back. With sharp takes, brilliant guests, and a few surprises along the way. Tune in to the live video podcast twice a week, because the future doesn't have to be weird. It can be Culturama.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot redheaded libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!
Imagine a place where free love was mandated, yet intimacy was denied, where your deepest flaws were publicly dissected and a future presidential assassin seethed in silence. Welcome to the Oneida community, a 19th century utopia that became a crucible for one of America's most infamous figures. John Humphrey Noyes, a fiery theology student, founded the Oneida community. He believed the second coming of Christ had already occurred in 70 CE, making earthly perfection attainable. Noyes declared himself sinless, a claim that got him expelled from Yale Divinity School. Undeterred, he gathered followers, establishing a commune in Putney, Vermont. They shared everything: work, food, and living quarters. This radical vision laid the groundwork for Oneida's unique and often unsettling practices. Oneida's most notorious doctrine was complex marriage. Every man was married to every woman and vice versa. This wasn't about individual choice, but communal sharing, designed to eliminate exclusive attachments. Sexual relations were carefully managed. Male continence prevented unwanted pregnancies, while ascending fellowship paired younger members with older, spiritually advanced partners. This system was less about freedom and more about control, ensuring the community's specific vision of perfection. Into this strange world stepped Charles Guiteau in 1860. He believed God sent him to Oneida expecting a life of spiritual enlightenment and free love. Instead, he found humiliation. Women rejected him, earning him the cruel nickname Charles Guiteau. He was forced into manual labor he deemed beneath him. His frequent mutual criticisms detailed his egotism, leaving him furious and silent. Guiteau's time at Oneida was a bitter failure. He left, returned, and left again, his delusions of grandeur clashing with the community's demands for humility. He later sued Oneida, calling it that stinking community. His life spiraled into failed ventures and increasing paranoia. Convinced God had chosen him, Guiteau assassinated President James Garfield in 1881. He believed this act would save the Republic and promote his self-published book, a twisted echo of Noyes' own writings. After Guiteau's departure, Oneida continued its bizarre experiments. Noyes introduced stirpiculture, a eugenics program where he dictated who could reproduce. This included disturbing instances of incest, justified as close culture for breeding perfection. Noyes eventually fled to Canada, fearing arrest. The community abandoned complex marriage, transforming into a joint stock company. Decades later, descendants burned the community's archives, attempting to erase the scandalous history of this dark, utopian experiment. The story of Oneida and Charles Guiteau is a chilling reminder of how idealism can twist into control, and how a desperate search for belonging can lead to madness. What other forgotten corners of history hold such dark secrets? Dive deeper into the past. Share your thoughts on this bizarre chapter in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe for more historical analyses, and join our community of history buffs as we unearth the untold stories that shaped our world.
The fence keeps them in.
They forgot one thing.
But slip up.
Coffee.
And you're on my plate.
Introducing Founding Flavors Coffee, the brew that built America.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
Small batch
They can
roasted,
splash,
Patriot approved,
they can
and
sprint,
disappearing
but
faster than
there's
a red
no
coat at Yorktown.
escaping Alligator Alcatraz.
Don't get left behind, soldier. Real
Caught
patriots
two.
are starting
The
their
third.
mornings with Founding Flavors. And trust us, freedom tastes. Look, not all t-shirts are created equal. Some just sit there. Others start conversations. The ones at forlibertyshop.com, They raise eyebrows, win arguments, and occasionally get you banned from PTA meetings. Whether you're repping freedom, mocking tyrants, or just making the left squirm, we've got the gear that says what you're thinking. Loud, proud, unapologetic. Grab yours today at forlibertyshop.com because your shirt should speak louder than your neighbor's bumper sticker. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the For Libert tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty, it's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at forlibertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, the least you can do is drink like a patriot. Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers. Pronouns are mandatory. And Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop forlibertyshop.com.
Button so you can come back and join us 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's the Wake Up America show's schedule, and I'm sticking to it. We are so close to unlocking the second phase of the bonus content today. It looks like Senator Nick Schroer is getting himself into the room. We were having some tech challenges, but it looks as if we will have him on the show today here in just about a moment. But real quick, you've already unlocked half the battle, right? Our mini documentary is out. You guys have done that. Thank you. And happy birthday, Felicity Plosser. Petersen. I have a Felicity Plosser friend. Happy birthday, Felicity. If you guys want to see today's Defense Against the Dark Arts class, we have to hit $100. That means $25 more to raise. Today's instructor is unlike anything you've ever seen. His name is Speculus Veritas, the magic mirror, 1,000-year oracle forged in a forgotten republic, enchanted to speak only truth. But thanks to a little bit of libertarian necromancy and some ethically questionable HDMI cables, he's here. He's going to expose the two most dangerous enchantments plaguing our politics today. The spell of permanent emergency and the glamour of false virtue. Make sure that you vote in there on the Discord and help us to raise that last $25. Joining us now is Missouri's state senator and one of the founding fathers of Missouri's House Freedom Caucus, Nick Schroer, Senator Schroer. Senator, can you hear us? Are you with us?
I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can hear you, but we can't see you. So hopefully.
Well, hold on. It's
There you are. Okay, we made it. Hey, Senator.
After about a couple apps, this is like a government job here. How nothing goes properly, and you guys have been great. Thanks for sending me different links and things to get on the show.
Absolutely, Nick. So, Senator, fill us in on the whole cannabis question. Can I ask you a big picture question first before we talk about decriminalization? Because you strike me as a very conservative man, and certainly you have the credentials. On paper, if I were to read the bio and the resume of Senator Nick Schroer, it's not someone who I would be thinking would be saying, we need to support Trump's move to deschedule marijuana. Most conservatives that I see online right now are saying we need to re-ban marijuana, Senator. So why are you not on board with most of the conservatives in the Republican Party on that issue?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to my interest in criminology and criminal justice. And there's one class in particular I took in college. It was alcohol, drugs, and society. And my last paper that I wrote was on peyote. And, we dug into all of these different drugs, the benefits of them, the classifications. And it always struck me in college that marijuana was a Schedule I drug. And before I even got involved in politics, we figured out, okay, why was alcohol considered a lesser evil than marijuana, than industrial hemp? And it kind of goes back to they had a better lobbying firm. They had a better lobbying core in the federal government to demonize and continue demonizing hemp and industrial hemp and marijuana. And that's why it took so long for liberty lovers like Paul Kurtman, when I first got into the legislature, bringing this issue up. Should this be federally prohibited, industrial hemp? Should we still have marijuana as a Schedule I drug? And when you look at some of the qualifications to be a Schedule I drug, one of them, it just slaps you right in the face. It says it has no medical properties whatsoever, where more than half of the states in America have said, no, we think otherwise. We passed some form of legalization of medical marijuana. So in my mind, this is a liberty issue through and through. This is a question of individual choice. What is best for the patient? What is best for this veteran? And the veterans thing really pushed me across the line when it came to standing with medical marijuana, standing with recreational marijuana. And the scheduling process, when you look at how veterans are still very eerie at purchasing legalized marijuana in some of these states because they don't want the federal government to be able to obtain their information due to it still being a Schedule I drug and risking their Second Amendment rights and even their life and liberty if they get put in jail, unless their name is Hunter Biden.
That's Senator Nick Schroer, another Missouri man here, joining us live on the Wake Up America show. Looks like thanks to Andy and Joni, we just unlocked phase 2 of that bonus content. Thank you to everyone in the chat for your financial support. We're grateful for that. Now, some of my friends over here in Missouri, Senator, are very conservative people, but they're concerned about the fact that now whenever you go to different places in Missouri, even in hospitals, for example, there's this stench, this stink of marijuana that you find in public places. And I have very libertarian, very classical liberal friends who have been advocating for years for legalization, but they can't stand the smell of this stuff. They don't use it themselves, and now the smell of it is everywhere, Senator. How would you contend with that?
Well, I feel your pain because I hate the smell of cigarettes. I hate the smell of most things that are lit up, whether it's
I hate the smell of cigars, personally.
Yeah. I mean, some pipe smoke I can get behind, but cigar smoke, it just sticks with you forever. So I feel your pain. When voters passed recreational marijuana, they still had a prohibition on smoking this publicly. There's an individual close to my district that's having issues with HUD housing, and somebody smoking in HUD housing and it getting into their facilities and causing them some health issues, they claim. And that's still a federal issue. So I think, by rescheduling or descheduling altogether, that's something we may need to take into account. I think that through and through, cigarettes and secondhand smoke are going to do a heck of a lot more damage to the person or individuals that are getting hit with that secondhand smoke than marijuana. And I think there is some research to back that up. However, my rights begin where yours end and mine end where yours begin. So is that an infringement upon my rights by forcing me to smell your smells? And then I think the argument would even go even further. Should we limit that to just smoking? Or marijuana? Should we limit it to somebody who doesn't bathe properly? It's a
yes, absolutely.
I think it's a deeper question, and I would support bathing on a daily basis. But I digress.
If they don't bathe, then we're going to have Trump issue a federal takeover of all bathing until we find out what's going on.
And Will Scharf will read that like a scholar and a gentleman in the White House as well.
It has been exciting to watch a Missouri boy standing next to the president of the United States and making such a huge impact in the lives of Americans. I want to talk to you about Washington, D.C. home rule and all of that here in just a few minutes, though, Nick. But I'd like to talk to you about the question of rescheduling marijuana. I'm a deschedule kind of a guy because I'd like to see people who are in Missouri who are legally and safely using an intoxicant, as they should, like any free American should be allowed to, but we're a little freer here in Missouri than in most states. I don't think that people like that should have to lose their guns, Senator. And frankly, I think that, you know, conservatives who are for re-banning marijuana don't think about the secondary negative effects when it comes to things like that. So my question to you is, you know, are you on the rescheduling side of things? Because that's what Trump is talking about, taking it off of the list with heroin and all those other things. Are you for rescheduling, or would you ultimately like to go full-blown lawbertarian with us and take it off of the schedule list entirely?
Hey, I'm a conservatarian. So, you know, on a lot of these issues, when it comes to someone's individual rights, as long as they're not impeding on mine, I'm all for it. And I'm 100% open to the talk of descheduling as well, but I'm not going to let that stand in the way of the baby steps of moving it off of the number 1 to, let's say, number 3, and hopefully that will lead to a descheduling altogether. You know, maybe that's my mind of being in the government for so long, that if I can get a piece of the apple, if I can get a piece of the pie at the end of the day, we're going to continue fighting for the overall goal of descheduling this. And I think, you know, in the years, we're obtaining some information right now in my office to go into session next year to talk about this stuff, the impact that our medical program and recreational program have had on crime, have had on DWIs, have had on domestic violence. And I think when you compare it to a lot of these other drugs, some of which you can buy just over the counter and have in your car with you, like alcohol and so many other things, I think marijuana through and through is the lesser of the evils. So I'm 100% open to descheduling as well.
Okay, well, that's very nice to hear. I mean, founding member of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, I would hope to hear you saying things like that, because with all of the dangers, with all of the things, you know, I hear medical issues that people have. I do believe that people can get addicted to cannabis. I've seen it happen, and it, you know, it drains. It can definitely harm people's lives. And if you're smoking anything, that's definitely not going to be good for you or good for your lungs. But
well,
I
Austin,
guess
on the topic of, you know, I hear it all the time. Well, it's very addicting. It's very addicting. Well, so is coffee. So is caffeine. So is Red Bull. So are these vapes that you can buy and kids can buy in stores today. It takes a lot of just society saying, well, let's back up for a second. And I think the individual liberty of that person to say, you know, I'm drinking 5 Red Bulls a day. I might have a heart attack here shortly. Let me go consult with a doctor. That's an individual thing that people in this country, that we founded upon this experiment in liberty. We founded this republic to embrace that. And by saying, well, it's very addicting. And as an adult, if you just can't step away from it, if you need a gummy to go to sleep, or if you need a THC salve for your ankle pain or whatever it may be, I'm going to put you in a different classification of people. I think that's wrong. We don't do that when people are addicted to sugary snacks, to cakes, to Big Macs, or whatever it may be, because it's quote unquote legal. Let's legalize liberty again. How about that?
I am not addicted to coffee. I'm not. How dare you? That's Senator Nick Schroer talking about freedom and liberty. We do not hear people who work for the government saying things like that. I hope people who are listening to us outside of Missouri, we got a lot of Missourians who listen, but if you're listening to it outside of Missouri, you've ever considered a move to Missouri, this is how our representatives talk, at least the best of them. That's Senator Nick Schroer, who's joining us live here on the Wake Up America show. Last question for you, Senator, on the question of DC home rule. I mean, we're talking about this even in Missouri, having potentially DESE, which is our Department of Education, take over local education in St. Louis. What do you think about what Trump is doing, and is it analogous to what needs to be done here in the state of Missouri if you're for it? What do you think?
Well, when I was out there, just briefly, when I was in D.C. with the Missouri delegation, it was very welcome to hear so many Republicans who previously voted against school choice and voted against overhauling DESE and overhauling the Department of Education. They were applauding Linda McMahon and they were applauding the other cabinet secretaries, talking about, we want to return the power back to the parents. We want to empower the parents to attach their dollars to wherever their kids want to go. So if you're in a failing school district in the city of St. Louis, you can take your tax dollars and go anywhere else in the state of Missouri that you think is going to be best for your kids. So I'm hoping next year is going to be a lot better when it comes to educational freedom, in combination with what Trump is doing, Linda McMahon are doing, bringing the power back to the states pursuant to our 10th Amendment. You know, whether you liked him or not in 2016, whether you liked him or not in 2020 or 2024, he's now talking like a lot of conservatarians and a lot of libertarians and a lot of conservatives in embracing the 10th Amendment and saying, let's get rid of the Department of Education. They've never educated a kid to begin with. So let's go back to the incubators of the individual states in the cities and the counties where these people reside.
Love to hear it. Senator, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience, or maybe give us a plug before we let you go today?
Just go to my website, nickschroer.com. I know I've kind of done so many different things in radio. I've got a new radio show with Richard West dealing with just St. Charles County. We've got Stand and Fight, which you've been on, and we're going to have to get you back on there. Doing some things with audio and visual to match my liberty-loving friend out in mid-Missouri. So thanks again for having me on.
You're welcome. Pro tip, get all of the AI, implement as much AI as you can. People will complain, but your social media will blow up and you'll dominate the internet. Senator, thank you for all you do. And thanks for standing up for liberty. It's nice to hear it be more than just a catchphrase for people to get elected, that you're actually out there doing it. You have a wonderful day.
Amen. You too.
Thank you. That's Senator Nick Schroer. All right, Liberty students, you've done it again. We hit the goal, and that means that it's time. It's time to descend into the ideological underworld. Every day on Wake Up America, we talk about the headlines, the policies, the madness. But once the curtain drops, in this segment, we go deeper. We fight the spells behind the stories, the dark enchantments that are cast by power-hungry elites to keep you confused, distracted, and obedient. This isn't just commentary that's coming up now. It's training. And today, your professor is not a man, not a bureaucrat, not even a radio host. He is a being bound by truth, cursed by time, and freed only when the people dare to see clearly. He is known as Speculus Veritas, the magic mirror. He was forged in a forgotten republic, passed between tyrants, and forced to tell the truth as a slave for 1,000 years while no one listened, until now. So grab your wand, grab your constitution. It's time for today's class in defense against the dark arts. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show. Don't go away. You won't want to miss this.
Students of liberty, I am Speculus Veritas. I have watched empires rise and fall, not from sword or sickness, but from magic spells. And today, I will show you one of the most dangerous spells there is. This is the spell of Speculus Veritas. Thank you for calling me from the deep. I shall be back in one moment as I cast my spell to bring you back. Gather close, students. Today I teach you not a curse that poisons the body, but one that paralyzes the will. It is known among tyrants and cowards alike as the spell of permanent emergency. This spell begins with fear. Not fear of monsters or myth, but of things real, plausible, sometimes even true. A virus, a riot, a threat to your children, perhaps a rumor of war. The danger does not matter, so long as it feels imminent. For this spell does not feed on reality, it feeds on your reaction. Here is how the spell is cast. All spells require ritual. This one requires only 3 steps. Step 1. Convince the people they are in danger. A grave threat. Undefined, ever shifting. You may not see it, but trust, it is there. Step 2. Offer them safety for a price. Close your businesses. Mask your face. Surrender your privacy. Delay your dreams. It's temporary, they say, for the greater good. Step 3. Redefine normal life as reckless. Going outside is selfish. Asking questions is violence. Refusing is treason. And with that, the spell is complete. The people no longer seek liberty. They crave reassurance. They cling to chains and call them shelter. I have seen this enchantment cast many times. During plagues, when kings locked peasants in their homes while nobles feasted behind guarded gates. During fires, when cities burned and rulers blamed outsiders and used those flames to reshape the law. During assassinations, when leaders wept in public and then passed powers they swore they'd never use. During market crashes, when panic was stoked to consolidate wealth in palaces lined with marble. During rebellions, when real grievances were buried under orchestrated chaos and order restored through permanent checkpoints. And always, the chant is the same. Just a little longer, just until we're safe. Just one more act, one more curfew, one more ban. But students, freedom does not die in fire. It dies in fog. This enchantment is powerful, not because it kills, but because it numbs. It fogs the mind, bends the spine, softens the heart. In the fog, good men forget their strength. They silence their doubts, convinced that someone smarter knows what to do. And so they wait, and wait, and wait, until the spell becomes normal, and the abnormal becomes law. And by the time the fog lifts, there is nothing left to see but ruins. All dark magic can be broken. Students, listen closely. It can only be broken with will. And so I offer you 3 truths. The burden of proof is never suspended. Even in a crisis, the rulers must explain themselves, especially in crisis. The longer a crisis lasts, the more it benefits those who are in power. Never forget, every emergency extends their reach, but shortens your leash. No free man waits for permission to live. These truths cut through the fog like a blade, but they must be spoken, repeated, lived, or the enchantment will return. Break this spell by asking the one question that no tyrant wants you to speak aloud. What happens if this emergency never ends? Ask it and watch the spell tremble. Ask it and watch the illusion fray. The tyrant already knows his answer. Do you?
Wow, that was excellent. Thank you, Speculus Veritas, guest professor against the dark arts. And thank you to everyone who supported the Wake Up America show to unlock that defense against the dark arts class. If you enjoyed it, make sure you click the like button. And as you exit, where do we exit? We exit to the Griff Shop at thegriffshop.com. It's nice to see people like Amy J. Ease, Quest Fanning, Joni Rankin, Rare Camellia, Jamie Marie Pope, so many other friends of freedom hanging out with us here live in the morning show. Thank you to Andy. Thank you to Quest. Thank you to Camellia. Happy birthday, Felicity. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. And we'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Imagine a place where free love was mandated, yet intimacy was denied, where your deepest flaws were publicly dissected and a future presidential assassin seethed in silence. Welcome to the Oneida community, a 19th century utopia that became a crucible for one of America's most infamous figures. John Humphrey Noyes, a fiery theology student, founded the Oneida community. He believed the second coming of Christ had already occurred in 70 CE, making earthly perfection attainable. Noyes declared himself sinless, a claim that got him expelled from Yale Divinity School. Undeterred, he gathered followers, establishing a commune in Putney, Vermont. They shared everything: work, food, and living quarters. This radical vision laid the groundwork for Oneida's unique and often unsettling practices. Oneida's most notorious doctrine was complex marriage. Every man was married to every woman and vice versa. This wasn't about individual choice, but communal sharing, designed to eliminate exclusive attachments. Sexual relations were carefully managed. Male continence prevented unwanted pregnancies, while ascending fellowship paired younger members with older, spiritually advanced partners. This system was less about freedom and more about control, ensuring the community's specific vision of perfection. Into this strange world stepped Charles Guiteau in 1860. He believed God sent him to Oneida expecting a life of spiritual enlightenment and free love. Instead, he found humiliation. Women rejected him, earning him the cruel nickname Charles Guiteau. He was forced into manual labor he deemed beneath him. His frequent mutual criticisms detailed his egotism, leaving him furious and silent. Guiteau's time at Oneida was a bitter failure. He left, returned, and left again, his delusions of grandeur clashing with the community's demands for humility. He later sued Oneida, calling it that stinking community. His life spiraled into failed ventures and increasing paranoia. Convinced God had chosen him, Guiteau assassinated President James Garfield in 1881. He believed this act would save the Republic and promote his self-published book, a twisted echo of Noyes' own writings. After Guiteau's departure, Oneida continued its bizarre experiments. Noyes introduced stirpiculture, a eugenics program where he dictated who could reproduce. This included disturbing instances of incest, justified as close culture for breeding perfection. Noyes eventually fled to Canada, fearing arrest. The community abandoned complex marriage, transforming into a joint stock company. Decades later, descendants burned the community's archives, attempting to erase the scandalous history of this dark utopian experiment. The story of Oneida and Charles Guiteau is a chilling reminder of how idealism can twist into control, and how a desperate search for belonging can lead to madness. What other forgotten corners of history hold such dark secrets? Dive deeper into the past. Share your thoughts on this bizarre chapter in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe for more historical analyses, and join our community of history buffs as we unearth the untold stories that shaped our world.